Right. I guess I spoke a little prematurely because my wife doesn't get on the payroll till the 15th of this month, so I got to turn out the last two things to make car payments. Real life happens. And so I'm working on this Crossbow, and I'm pretty tired because I've been working on it till the wee hours of the morning and I woke up early. Enough of that. First I'm going to say that whatever you do should be a work of art. You need to look at the lines, the swoopy nature of it. Let me get this a little closer. And be proud of everything you do. And so I have a jump in my technology. Instead of having a bolt clip that's made out of horn that swings, that's kind of cumbersome. And so what I did, nice pressure, doesn't give a lot of friction, so it's kind of a fine balance. And how you work this, you can see it looks kind of like a spoon. In fact, I think it would be cool, the next one I do, to actually have it scooped out like a spoon. Oak, and the nice thing is when you're sighting down it, it's straight, and you could even put, I was thinking about where it gets thick right here, putting like a dovetail, and so you can have a sliding sighting from the point to the notch in the sliding dovetail. And so I like the jump into technology. This is exactly the same as my big bow that's hanging up over there. I like this. I like this. Let's see what else. I still have the cow horn button. I was thinking about drilling a hole there and then using my hand drill for a lathe, turning kind of a finial, but it's actually nice being able to set that on the ground. It's tough stuff, might get scratched up, on the ground, but this is tough. It will keep the end from wearing, so this is very utilitarian. Let's see what else. I just finished stitching this. Exactly the same, well, there's some minor differences, but it is a 3-ply deer rawhide stirrup, which works beautifully. I have it on the big bow. I'm pointing, he can't see it. That works out so nicely. And this was somewhat easy to make. You just cut the strips and you dampen them, put glue on them, and then put them around a round form. And then I jimmied it up with some wooden wedges just to kind of flatten it here and give it a lot of, what would you say, pressure. So when it dries, I didn't soak it till it was like soaked enough to do the rawhide backing, but soaked enough to soften it and allow it to shrink a little bit. It shrinks up nicely. Creates quite a nice thing. And you do have to stitch it. You can't just glue it because there's a lot of pressure on here and it would pull it apart because it doesn't glue together that well. The stitching holds it together. I also, this is blocking the wrap right here, but you can see that sinew wrap right there and on the tips. And I am not, well, it's like saying I'm not going to make videos every day. But as far as I know now, I'm not going to really sand these and make them, the tip wraps look, in the wraps right here, look smooth. I kind of like that texture. The rawhide right here, you can see this point. This is where it overlaps. This side goes to here, right underneath that wrap, and this side goes to right here. And because rawhide doesn't really want to glue to itself that greatly, I reinforce it with these wraps. This is going to hold it down. As a note, I didn't use tight bond for backing this. I used hide glue. I soaked my strips in a hide glue mixture, so when it absorbed into the rawhide, it was kind of self-sticking. There's glue in the rawhide soaked right in, increases bond. And in this way, actually, hide glue has a greater chance of gluing to wood than tight bond, because unless you're going to water down the tight bond mixture and soak the rawhide in that, this really works out nicely. So I've got, let's see, sinew wrap, rawhide right here. As I stated earlier, let me stand back. 17.5-inch power stroke. I don't know what this bow is. It's not final tillered. And so I'm going to shoot for, I think with this draw, you have to think of this thing. The mental computer is working. I know the length, I know the draw length, I know the brace height, And so this bow, this piece of wood here, should be able to absorb 50 to 60 pounds comfortably without overstressing it. Because think about it, when you're drawing it back, that kinetic energy from your arm is then being stored as potential energy in here. And when you think of the cross section and the length and actually just the mass of the wood, you have to think how much potential energy can be stored in this before bad things happen. You can't mysteriously say, well, if I tolerate it, I can make it 200 pounds at this draw length. There's a limit to how much energy this stuff, tingling and just ready to release, can stand before it just says no mas. You can increase it a little bit by backing it, but I'm figuring 17.5-inch power stroke, 55, 60 pounds, 50, 60, somewhere in there, would certainly give this bow enough oomph for small game hunting. Yeah, the big bow hanging right there, you can see it. Just turn your heads to the left. I have to think it's a mirror. That could be for bigger game. 60-pound bow. No, strike that. In the 90s, 28-inch power stroke. It is a bow. It is a sizable bow. This one, small game. Anyway, I'm going to do my best to kind of slowly rotate it so you can see it. And I have to say that the amount of effort and detail work that is going into this is a bit greater than if I was just to make this bow separately, obviously. So when I price it out, it's going to reflect that. This is a beautiful work of art, and it's going to be functional. And so I'm not going to undersell myself. I hope I whetted your appetite. Hope you enjoyed seeing this thing. I'm going to replace these two screws with brass screws. I have a brass one right up in here. There we go. And this is just temporary stuff. I'm going to have a much nicer looking one here. I still have to have wedges on here for stringing. The wedges work really good, so you can have that two-loop affair. Put your string with the two loops on here, pull it back, and then you're able to tie on or slide the loop over here for bracing it. Beauty, beauty, beauty.